I want to do a quick roundup of the Republican National Convention for you guys. Can be summarized this way. It was the me convention. Almost every speaker got out there and started talking about himself and his dad. By the end, I didn't know if I wanted to vote for Christie's mom, Rubio's dad, or Romney's dad. Okay, I'm like, wait, who's going to talk about Mitt Romney? Christie mentioned himself 37 times in his speech. Mitt Romney only 7 times. But then Rubio came out to introduce Romney. Mentioned him about 2 times and mentioned his own dad about 17 times. Like, when are you going to get to Romney? And so it's kind of amazing how blatant they were with it. And last night during our current coverage of this, Al Gore said something very, very interesting. The former vice president said, look, if you want to keep it real, these politicians don't want Romney to win. Oh, this is an audition for them for 2016. Now, everybody knows that part, right? That these speeches are, hey, look, what a great politician I am, think about me in the future. But there's an extra level to it, that they could all run in 2016 if Romney loses this time around. So they don't give a damn about promoting Romney. You think they care about their party and their ideology? No, they're politicians. They care about themselves. So that's why everybody gave this me speeches and beyond anything I've seen at any convention. And then are we surprised that the present-day Republicans are the most selfish politicians you've ever seen? So it had this perverse effect where I started to feel bad for Romney. I'm like, is anybody going to mention the guy? This is supposed to be his convention. So I thought Christie's speech was an effective speech if he was going for the GOP base in 2016, but was way too self-indulgent. Same with Marco Rubio. I thought Marco Rubio looked like he was, running for 9th grade class president. The ideas were so simplistic, American dream over and over again in a very trite way. Paul Ryan, I thought, again, had an effective speech that not only reached out to the GOP base, but probably to some independents. But it was riddled with so many lies that the next day, that's all anybody was talking about. The massive inaccuracies in Paul Ryan's speech. So all that is fairly ineffective. You look at it and you think, the Romney team apparently did not do a good enough job in vetting these people's speeches. They just let them go on with their own agendas. And then, speaking of not vetting the speeches, then you let Clint Eastwood out there. He doesn't have a script, and he rambles, and he goes way too long, and he talks to a person who doesn't exist. And it was a mess. And then you got to Romney, and I thought, as I explained earlier in a different video, that he did a serviceable job, and I think people might think, hey, you know what, maybe that guy's a little bit more pleasant than I thought. But ultimately, it was an empty speech, and it will be quickly forgotten. And so I think you walk away from this Republican convention, and the Republicans might get a slight bump up, but I think it'll be really temporary. And overall, I would say that the convention was, and fortunately for me, because I don't agree with the Republicans, I think it was ineffective. And look, I'm not saying that just because they're Republicans. In 2004, I thought the Republicans put on a great convention, and I said it at the time. I thought the Democrats put on a horrible convention in 2004. Here, I'm kind of relieved to see they had their turn at bat, and they seem to have fumbled it with their incredible selfishness and lack of discipline. And by the way, because their ideology at this point is so bankrupt that all they could ever say is, we hate Obama and we want lower taxes on the rich and more wars. That's just ultimately not going to be effective with the American people. The only advantage they have left is they have a tremendous amount of money from the donors. If you pulled that card out, house of cards, they'd fold. These guys cannot appeal to the mainstream Americans in a significant enough way, and I think they showed it in their convention.